Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
Well, from a security standpoint, this is the argument that Trump has repeated the most. From a security standpoint, it doesn't quite make all that much sense because the U.S. argument is that it needs Greenland for national security, but the agreement in place, as well as the political goodwill that goes with it in the practical implementation of that agreement, means that the U.S. would probably be able to get more or less anything it needs in Greenland by just asking nicely.
First of all, I think it's very important to say that Greenland will never be part of America. Of course, we want respect. We want a strong partnership. We want to trade. We want a strong partnership on national security, of course. But we want it in mutual respect. We will never be for sale, and we will never be Americans.
Donald Trump has criticized the Danish government for not doing more of this itself on its own. So, and it comes back to this radar coverage concerning Russian planes over Greenland, and then it concerns submarine hunting, keeping track of Russian submarines in Greenlandic waters and in the so-called GEOC gap, the Greenland, Iceland, UK gap. Those two tasks are very expensive to solve. It necessitates a lot of investments, and I think actually the initial sort of Danish reaction to this criticism from Donald Trump was to say, okay, the US wants Denmark to do more. Well, at least that's something. That's a concrete problem that Denmark could try to solve, right? So in 2025 alone, Denmark set aside 42 billion Danish crowns for enhanced security in Greenland. And a lot of that money was meant to be earmarked for situational awareness, which is these two things that I mentioned.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
I think it's a big
There are other possible reasons for why Donald Trump may want Greenland. Minerals has also been mentioned, especially rare earth minerals. Now, Donald Trump himself said that this was less important than security, but nevertheless, let's look at the minerals, rare earth minerals. The problem with resource extraction in Greenland is this. Greenland is a rich country in terms of natural resources. However, it is very expensive to extract it. So that means that even though that there are a lot of resources there are a lot of resources to be had, it may not be profitable to ever extract a large quantity of those resources. In practice, this has meant that the Greenlandic government has been very willing to try to bring in American companies to conduct searches and extraction of these resources. But as of yet, it has been met with fairly limited results. When it comes to concrete projects, American companies have been very cautious in entering negotiations with Greenland, simply because the business case just hasn't really been there in a lot of cases. We have a third possible argument, which is sort of an argument going more to a MAGA approach to the world, make America great again, or make America greater, perhaps even, right? So this idea of territorial expansion, and perhaps the idea that Trump has the possibility then of going down in history as one of the presidents that expanded the US. And I think this kind of motivator, I think both Copenhagen and Nuuk, both the Greenlanders and Danes, they very much hope that this is not a prime motivator for Donald Trump, because if it is very, very hard to do anything about it in terms of reaching a compromise. How do you compromise with that, right?
For det første, så mener jeg, at man skal tage den amerikanske præsident alvorligt, når han siger, at han ønsker Grønland. Men jeg vil også gøre klart, at hvis USA vælger at angribe et andet NATO-land militært, så hører alting op. Altså inklusiv vores NATO og dermed den sikkerhed, som er blevet tilvejebragt siden afslutningen på 2. verdenskrig.
Men er der en lille del af
the US would be fully capable of handling the problem militarily. If the US was to invade Greenland, there would be little that Denmark or Greenland or indeed the European powers could do to stop the US. However, in terms of politics, the consequences would be enormous, really. The Danish Prime Minister recently mentioned that it would likely mean the end of NATO. And I would tend to agree.
Es ist vollkommen klar, über das Schicksal Grönlands entscheiden die Grönländerinnen und Grönländer und das Königreich Dänemark, zu dessen Hoheitsgebiet Grönland gehört. Die in der UN-Charta festgeschriebenen Prinzipien der Souveränität, der territorialen Integrität und der Unverletzlichkeit der Grenzen müssen eingehalten werden. Alle Fragen, die die Sicherheit im arktischen Raum betreffen, müssen natürlich im NATO-Rahmen besprochen werden.
The future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for Denmark exclusively. It's their decision. Secondly, from a NATO context, the way I would frame it is that the western flank of NATO, which would include Greenland, the Arctic, is, given the evolving threat environment, is an area that we as NATO, Canada obviously importantly, given our geography, need to invest more in. This is a point that we've been making in recent years.
So the Greenlanders, they don't want to be bought. They want to be independent. So in that sense, the US would have to convince the Greenlanders that it would be a good idea to leave the kingdom and to establish some sort of relationship with the US.
Well, I think our discussion should be with the actual people in Greenland, the Greenlanders. What are they looking for? What opportunities have they not gotten? Why haven't they gotten the protection that they actually deserve?